Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's vOLTHA TST. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded and will be shared live on YouTube. So please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share. Sorry for being late. As I said, we were in the operator TST meeting discussing the 2.9 roadmap. So first of all, a couple of announcements from myself. As some of you might know, we have had the 2.8 webinar with the information about the 2.8 release. So please go ahead and check it out. It's all public on YouTube if you haven't had the occasion to look it up before. That's that. The second one is actually about the TST seat from ONF. So as of right now, up until a week ago or something, Surf was on the TST from ONF. But given his lesser role in this project because of his enhanced role in other projects at ONF, especially the software-defined radio access network, he stepped down from the TST and has nominated myself as his replacement, given my instead expanding role within the vOLTHA community. So that's just an announcement from me. I hope you guys like me. I'm not going anywhere, apparently. So anything that Surf would do, I will do. And he's still going to be involved in the project. It's just not in the TST chair because it wouldn't make much sense for him to be in there without participating as much. Any questions? Nothing is going to change. It's just going to be me instead of him. Okay. Then the next item is what we actually have discussed with the operator TST meeting. So this is the 2.9 roadmap that we started discussing with the operators. And the idea is that we want to concentrate on a few things, namely some testing, and especially around the multicast and multi-UNI. The first and foremost thing that we want to put in is the Kafka to Grpc migration, as you guys already know from Ken. He's going to contribute that. The OpenONU Go has its own roadmap with a few things and elements in here. The first and foremost element is going to be the move to a a channel-based flow configuration, so we don't use the locks as much, and that's going to help us get rid of some of those deadlocks that we were experiencing. And then we're going to have to go ahead and enhance some of the existing elements, such as multi-uni, internal error handling, and ONU upgrades. We have discussed this in the OpenONU Go call, so if you're interested, just watch last OpenONU Go call. There's a lot more information over there. But as you can see, there's no major element except the flow configuration sequence is more bits and hardening of the system here and there, with a lot more tests from the team. Up until now, any questions that anybody wants to ask? No? Okay, then if not, I mean, go ahead. The idea is also to, within ONF, that we want to rewrite the vOLTHA app. The reasoning is that it's become so brittle that every change you make, it breaks 1,000 other things, and it's almost impossible to fix. Because the code is so bloated, there's so many code paths, it's become like spaghetti code. So we just want to rewrite it entirely. And Mahir mentioned that while doing the rewrite, there might be elements from NetCenter that NetCenter Telecom would like to add. I'll have to discuss it with them. They haven't had a list entirely. I told them that we would like to do this, but the priority is to rewrite it without changing the APIs on 2.8, so we can actually swap it into 2.8 without having to, again, change the APIs. Then there's multicast testing. Hardik, do you want to talk us a little bit about the testing that you guys want to work on with Netsia?
Yes, sure. So as part of 2.9, we are planning to extend the Turk Telecom test case scenarios mainly. And as part of that, the two items that we have in mind is first to add more multicast scenarios because currently we are kind of testing only one, that too as part of Sanity. So we really want to extend that to try out different scenarios. And then the other thing is we want to extend the multi-unit test also. And for that, thanks to Nitsia, Imran and Hussein from Nitsia, they have drafted one document for this, and we'll be referring that to extend that multi-uni scenarios as well. So that's the plan for the testing, the major ones.
Okay, thanks, Hardik. There's one more thing that I would like to mention is the continuous ping, which is to keep the ping running across some of the restarts that we do in the tests to have an even more proof that restarts work. ONF,
Yeah.
ONF has some elements that we need to work on in terms of certification to finally certify the Adtran OLT and a few more Gradicis OLTs. So that's on us. Again, on the OLT front, we are going to work at expanding the 3.4 to at least 3.4.9.9, and then possibly moving to either 3.6.7.7 or the 3.10 release, which is LTS. Grish, do you want to make any comments on this?
Yeah, 3.6.7.7 is pretty old. I mean, I initially assumed, looking at the BAL APIs on GitHub that it was the latest version, but apparently it's actually 3.8.6.6. I mean, so I started, trying to build 3.8.6.6 with the agent. I'm still waiting on a few packages and patches from EdgeCore and Broadcom. But apparently 3.10 is going to release end of August. It's not yet clear that that's going to be the LTS. That's, but Frank from Broadcom was saying that could be the LTS, but, that's for operators and, Broadcom to, decide, which one is going to be the LTS. Yeah, so that's where it is now. But at the end of vOLTHA 2.9, I mean, it would be great for the community if we could move to the latest and greatest version of the BAL before the end of 2.9 release. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's keep an eye on this. Ideally, to me, whenever they release 3.10, we just check it, and if it works, we go there, and that's it.
Yeah, so currently I'm trying to integrate with 3.8.6.6. If it works with that, from what I know, it should be pretty straightforward to move to 3.10. Anyway, so it's not released yet. So the current release is 3.8.6.6. Let's see how things go with that.
Okay. Yep, sounds good. Okay. Then there's some configuration of limits for device for Helm charts, for pods in terms of, for example, space occupancy, RAM occupancy, CPU occupancy, usage, and things like that. It's not a high priority for Turk Telecom, but it's a high priority for Deutsche Telekom, and it will be contributed by Reply. In terms of performance measurements, it seems that we have achieved everything that the operators want. There might be some small elements that are done, but they're not a high priority, and they're definitely not a blocker for the 2.9 release in terms of the missing elements. Some of these requirements are actually still under consideration, for example, at Deutsche Telekom. So we don't really have anything to do on that front unless something arises from those requirements. But even if it does arise, there's smaller elements. Two fairly high important elements for Deutsche Telekom, one of which we will start on the implementation front, and one of which we will focus on the design discussion, make sure that everything is set for the implementation, and if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it's an optional element, is MPLS and support of the FTTB with DPU. So on the MPLS front, Radisys is going to make the changes in the OLT app in ONOS, adapter, core, OF agent, etc. Sorry, not the adapter, OF agent and core. And then on the hardware front is going to be Atran, which will implement it into their OLT. It cannot go into the OLT, OpenOLT, because of Broadcom said that BAL will not support double MPLS tagging. That's plain and simple. So our hands are pretty tied there. My goal is to have it in the code base as a feature and be capable of testing it against one hardware, which is the Atran hardware. So if with that, we can maybe manage to convince Broadcom to move it do the implementation on BAL, or other vendors might step in to fill this void. Anything you want to add, Amit, on it?
No.
Okay. The backhaul DPU, the workflow is defined. It's public. The Deutsche Telekom workflow is public. And we agreed that we couldn't do both MPLS and FTTB in this release. We just said it's one of the either. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that everything is up to date in terms of requirements from Deutsche Telekom. And possibly there will be some code contributions. We'll see where we leads us. It's not an option. It's not a mandatory element. It's an optional. A few other optional things that depend on external companies, so it's not really in my hands, is the upstreaming of the transparent OLT tagging, which is the Telecom Italia workflow. Some code cleanup in BBSIM, that's optional. We do it. We manage to do it. We do it. We don't. That's fine. And OpenOLT adapter modularization. Again, not splitting, just different Go modules for us to be capable of setting logs in a much better way. Then Third Telecom is still defining some of their priorities for 2.9. They mentioned that the 3-4 most important things that they would like us to tackle right now, but it might not be in the 2.9 release. They still have to define this, is multi-NNI and lag, some voice supports on the ONT, which might require some configuration via OMCI. Again, there's very little detail on this. I'll have to follow up. And also expand the scale of subscribers. Again, I don't have any idea on what the scale numbers they would like. So, and also if all three of these are mandatory for them in 2.9, definitely they cannot be because it's too much work, but we'll have to define what is a high priority for Turk Telecom. Just need a further discussion with Semil on this. Any comments, thoughts? So this is kind of the 2.9 roadmap. There's some in it, but some of these things are optional. If we don't make them, we don't make them. Some of it is design discussion. Some of it is contributed by Radisys, for example, here. Some of it is contributed by Reply, for example, here. And there's a lot of going on around testing. So I think it's a pretty good target, but I'd like to open the floor to see if anybody has any comments or thoughts.
Well, hi, it's Burak.
Hey, Burak.
Sorry, I'm late to join the discussion, but I need to. I don't know if it is discussed, but as far as I understand from Serkant, it's not talked about this LTS issue. Actually, Broadcom is expecting us to, request formally for that LTS thing, right? So for any release to be LTS, we need to place a formal request to Broadcom. So I think ONF will do that, I believe, right?
Yes, so yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Burak. Frank said that, a formal request has to go, but I'm a little confused. Is it the operators or the ONF? Probably we'll discuss internally and let you know. How was it done previously, Andrea? Any clue? Was it ONF or the operators who
Yeah, I think it's gone from Saurav, I think. As far as I remember, we were discussing with Saurav and, placing the request for this LTS issues.
Okay.
So
okay.
I think it will, ONF will represent the whole community or, the group.
Got it.
So,
sure, understood. Yeah, but he at least said this, that they cannot support 2 LTS releases at the same time. So currently 3496 was the LTS. So they cannot also support another LTS release simultaneously. So
yeah.
There is confusion. Yeah, let me talk to Andrea and Saurav and see if
Girish, I just talked to Frank actually about this, but I just didn't get that impression that the concurrent 2 LTS releases, because Broadcom is willing to just bury the old releases, as you know. So so I think they will be willing to get this release as LTS. I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Burak.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Andrea or Saurav and see what we can do about this.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else that you guys want to discuss on the 2.9 roadmap? Anything that the general community sees as a missing item?
During the TechInar, I mean, there were a few things, that the community was asking. I mean, it's probably to just understand how much vOLTHA supports. I mean, there were questions like, do we support ERPS ring? Do we support pawn protection? ABC? Do we support DSCP marking support at the ONU? I mean, there were things like that. So was there any question in the operator TST meeting about, the need for features like this, or is it somewhere in the future?
I believe that the operators care about the elements that you see in this list. So okay. While those are good to have items, they're not a priority of the operators, as far as I understand right now. So
okay.
I think that's it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to bring up? Anything you guys want to discuss? On the 2.9, nothing? Okay, then if not, let me go to the agenda of the TST so we can bring forward the next topics. I also tried adding whoever gonna the resource allocation on this, so at least we know who's gonna work on what. Okay. So next item is something that I did in the past couple of days. I did a whole Jira review. So I passed every Jira that is under the vOLTHA project because it was becoming a little bit of a mess. And given that I have a little bit more time and we're not so pressed for the release, I just spent a little bit of time understanding what were the Jiras that were still open. And I have tagged several of you in many Jiras, trying to get a grasp if there is something that we can close, we can abandon, something that was done and was not reported as done, something that we don't need anymore, something that, just did a little bit of a cleanup. So this was a personal favor I asked all of you guys. If any Jira was reported by you and it's not valid anymore, if any Jira was done by you, but you cannot, but you didn't update it, so please spend a little bit of time, or I tagged you in a Jira. Please do spend a little bit of time on them and making sure that it's the most up-to-date state that we can have for those Jiras. It's just because I found out a lot of duplicates, for example, and I found out a lot of things that were already closed, and the project also, given that we are an open source project, it gives a much better impact to the outside world if we don't have as many open Jiras, as many open bugs, as many stale information on things and things like that. So general request, please do make a pass on the Jiras I've tagged you on, or Jiras that you have reported, or Jiras that were assigned to you and never done. Same applies for the Gerrit patches and patch sets. I've done a pass of those again last week, give or take. I might do one again pretty soon. Same reason, an open source project that does, especially with an LTS release, it's not good to have like a bloated backlog of patches that need reviewing, especially if they are stale patches and things that nobody's going to work on. We might as well abandon them, close them, clean them up. So this is just a house chore that I would ask everybody to do, and it would help me greatly. Any question? Anything you guys wanted to add to this? No? Okay, then again, please do it. And if you have any questions, feel free to tag me on the Jiras, and I'll be glad to help you guys in understanding what needs to be done for that Jira. But just let me know. Okay. Okay. So next up is the Kafka to Grpc swap. That's Ken. Ken, do you want to give us an update on where things are at?
Currently, I converted the Pro Tools, the vOLTHA the library, and the core, the vOLTHA core. There's one issue that I just find recently. It's I think there's an update in the protobuf version, the Google proto version, and that's causing some compatibility issues. So it's something that I need to go further deeper in and to figure out like why we're having this compatible issue, because there's some changes in the API. I think they went from version 1 to version 2, and I don't know if we need. Ideally, we should go to version 2, but I don't know what kind of changes will be required. So that's yeah. Go ahead.
I recall there was a discussion about moving the proto version for the OpenOLT that was causing problems with the etcd library because of a method that had the same name. And we ended up not updating the protos in the OpenOLT because of this reason, because it was not really something we could fix, which is not great at all, but maybe you're hitting the same issue. I'm not sure.
Well, that's one issue, but the other issue about the etcd, this is a problem with the etcd client. It's the way they were naming packages. Yeah. And there's a package that they use, bbolt, which is about the deeper line for the database that they use. And the way they're importing that package is deep. It's not as per Go, so it's quite different. So that's causing another problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I remember. That's the issue I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So so I would like to fix that because otherwise we'll just keep dragging issues on.
Indeed. You feel it's going to be a huge issue to fix or not?
Yeah, I don't know because etcd library per se has a lot of issues in it, and there's not a lot of you have to try to figure out like which library version you can actually use that makes the whole thing works, and it's quite cryptic. So I don't think it will take a long time, at least to try to figure out if it can be fixed or not. That shouldn't take a long time.
Okay, well, let us know how that goes, I guess.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything that you need help on that we can give you?
No, not at this time.
So looking forward to the Grpc with Kafka, with the Kafka to Proto change, how are we planning to test that? Is going to be a custom chart patch containing some custom images,
Yes,
and we'll just set up a scale.
Yes, the plan is to actually do precisely that. So whatever Ken is ready, he's gonna provide myself a Helm chart patch and images that can be used to test all of this change. And I am going to schedule some runs. Actually, schedule a periodic nightly job where we will use these custom elements and verify that it works. So nightly job, I will start with the BBSIM sanity test that we run nightly, that the 50+ test that we have, you know it, Theo. And that's going to be the first one. Whenever that is started passing consistently, I will expand it to be tested at scale and on our hardware pods. How does that sound, Theo? That be okay? Theo? Okay, I guess it is. Okay, any other questions or comments for Ken? No? Okay. Then Ken, I think you can proceed. And as we said, just bring over the patches as you have them, and we can start the discussion from there. The implementation in the job, yep, etc. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other item I had on the agenda today was the further update on the multi-UNI. I don't think we have that much of an update, except that Mahir pushed patches on both the OpenVOLTHA adapter and the OpenVOLTHA adapter for the fix for the subscriber. And that those patches are actually under tests right now at in ONF, in the Jenkins job from ONF, and I will report the outcome of those tests to Mahir, and then we can decide with him the next steps on it. Mahir, anything to add?
Mahir is not in the meeting.
Okay, sorry. I didn't check the list of participants. I thought it would be. Well, it's fine. That is what that is our current plan of action. So then I know also the Netsia team is starting to take a look at further tests. Hardik, do you want to give us an update on those based on the document that you guys started? Is there something that we need to know? Is there something that needs to be discussed with the team, or the plan is there and we are executing on it?
So I think the Netsia team, they have internally reviewed it with Mahir, and what I understood from the test folks. But yes, I think probably by the end of this week, I'll have a discussion with them to finalize the scenarios that we are going to cover. But yes, if anyone from the team wants to take a look at it, from the community wants to take a look at it, please do so. But yeah, in general, the plan looks fine. Yeah, so I think we'll go ahead with that.
Sounds good. Okay. So that was all on the agenda for myself for today. Anything that you guys want to bring up or want to discuss while we're all here in the meeting? Anything that I forgot? That's also a good question. Oh, did I really remember everything? Okay. Then I think we can get some time back of our day. I will publish the recording of this meeting and if you guys have any thoughts on the roadmap in the future days that come up while you're doing your work, and you think that some changes need to be performed to the roadmap, please do send me a ping about it, and we'll make sure to see if we can change things and check the roadmap accordingly. I will keep everybody posted if I get any additional changes or requirements from the folks at Netsia and Turk Telecom. But that's all I have effectively that I wanted to share. Okay, then thanks everybody, and let's continue the great work, and I'll talk to you on next Tuesday. Actually, sorry, before I forget, the next TSTs will not actually be led by me because I will be on vacation. So there's two TSTs which I will that will be on vacation on, which are the midweeks of August. Those will be completely vacation for me. Next week I have a couple of days off, Monday and Tuesday. So unfortunately, the TST I will not be able to join. But Matteo is going to take care of that with the agenda we have, and we'll make sure to schedule it accordingly with him.
Sorry, Andrea. Regarding that, on the DMI brigade, we discussed about how to map the ports on the DMI as well as vOLTHA, right?
Yes.
So we wanted to discuss on that proposal.
Yes. Do you want to give us a brief overview of that, Amit, while to get people up to speed?
I can do it right away. Give me a second.
Yep.
I have one slide where I about this. I'll share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if the thing is visible. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a single slide where I'm trying to highlight the problem and a proposal for a solution. So currently on the DMI interface, the device management interface, a port is identified using a component UUID. So this is a unique attribute, right? And some of the other attributes of this port or one notable attribute of this port is the physical level. Whereas on the vOLTHA side, a port is identified by a port number, right? And it has a label. So if you talk about a user, which is NEM, right, which works with both the DMI as well as vOLTHA, as of today, there is no way that NEM can identify the same on port through both these interfaces using a mechanism, right? So for example, when it comes to know that, okay, a port is down on the vOLTHA side, right? So say the port, we get an indication that the port has gone down. There's no way how it would figure out, okay, which is the corresponding port on the DMI side, right? So if it wants to say, check on something on the DMI side, try to get some statistics or something. So, so the proposal that we are making is that we introduce optional attribute on the DMI interface for a port, and we call it as a mapping label. And this value would be set to the same value as the label in vOLTHA. So if someone is not using vOLTHA and using just a DMI, then this is an optional field and they can just ignore this, right? And because the value in vOLTHA is set by the adapter, not the V code, right? So it is a OLT specific implementation which sets the label for the port. So we can ensure that because the device management implementation for an OLT is also specific to that device. So what I'm trying to say is that the device manager and the vOLTHA adapter for a device, right, are specific to the device, and both of them can use the same logic to derive the labels for that particular OLT. So for example, in the open OLT adapter, the logic that is used to create the labels in vOLTHA is the type of the port, which is like PON or NNI / the interface ID, which it receives from BAL. So starting from 0 up to whatever, right? So it's like PON 0, PON -0, PON -1. So the requirement would be that a DMI implementation for the same OLT should set the mapping label to the same value. And then NEM can query both of this to be able to correlate. So NEM would still address the ports using the same identifiers that it already does in vOLTHA and DMI. So NEM would still identify the port using the port number on vOLTHA and the component UUID on DMI, but at least it could look at the labels on both the sides and be able to correlate. So any suggestions, thoughts?
You said this, maybe I missed this. You said the mapping label is set. Who sets it?
So an implementation of the device manager should set this value.
Okay, so it's not really optional. The DMI is setting it.
No, implementation of the DMI, right? If it knows that it's only DMI and there is no vOLTHA, then it can just not set it.
How would a DMI know there's no vOLTHA?
It's operator driven.
Yeah.
I just wish there was a different way to correlate these rather than having to add a mapping value. All right, thank you.
So yeah, if there are any thoughts, maybe we can revisit this. If anyone has any other thoughts, maybe you can post it in the vOLTHA Discuss group.
vOLTHA Discuss or the DMI itself, I think both are fine.
Yeah, DMI as well, yeah, on the Slack channel as well. So if we don't hear on this front, maybe for the next 1 week, then maybe we will take this as acceptable and start making progress on this end in the DMI.
Yeah, let me do this, Amit. Let me schedule it for next week's TST, and let's give it 1 week. And if people don't bring it up, anything up for the next week or so, we can then go ahead and execute on the plan. Would that sound reasonable for everybody? Also, do you mind sending the slide to me, please, Amit?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, I'll stop the share.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody wants to bring up? Okay, then if not, thanks everybody for joining. I'll talk to you over Slack, over email, and let's keep up the great work. And I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a nice week.